Titan Souls is a perfect example of what a simple game jam entry can result in. The concept is simple. You fight bosses. That's about it. You fight and fight and fight and then you're at the end. But looking beneath the surface reveals that there might be more going on. But let's start at the beginning. So, Acid Nerve made Titan Souls, and after winning multiple categories of the game jam, people were like, hey, do more? And they said, okay, teaming up with Devolver Digital. So they released Titan Souls on the 14th of April 2015. And from what I've seen, it was pretty well received, with an 82% on Steam. But let us get into the game itself now. I feel like I've already wasted so much time talking about the around things, even if it was just a minute or so. Starting a new game shows this cutscene. Until you're just thrown into the game. What this means or entails, that we will get into way later. So the game shows its basic controls. You can shoot, dodge, feel the crippling loneliness creep up, and run. With these eye doors you need to shoot to progress. But the special thing it also states quickly is that you only have a single arrow. So you shoot and pick it up again, being able to pull it into your hands. Which, by the way, also does damage if it reaches enough speed. After another door, you're on your own. No words, no nothing. So you continue, stepping on some kind of summoning circle, featuring 4 grey dots. You'll find these all around the game. This is your respawn point of the first area, which I will simply call... If you continue upwards, ignoring these eye doors, you'll encounter a giant door, the first gate. Again featuring this ominous eye with a golem-like creature in front. I don't know about you, but to me it looks like he's blocking the way, protecting the eye. But this door won't let us through, so let us go back. Looking around, you'll find 4 doors, with an icon above. Each of these features a titan to fight, so how about we just do that? The one you'll most likely fight first is this slime. Shooting it will start the fight and reveal its name. Yeah, you obviously can't read that, but his name is Slutshard. A pretty simple fight. Every time you shoot him, he splits into 2 smaller versions. Normal slime behavior, while leaving slime around, making you sticky. Just split him more and more until you can reach the heart and the room loses color, the music stops. And if you want to retrieve your arrow, you seemingly absorbed its soul. Its Titan soul. Afterwards, you just leave, with a light above the door and on the respawn point indicating your victory. But let's speed up a bit. The other 2 titans here are iCube and Brain Freeze. iCube jumps around and shoots a laser, simply shoot into his eye, which actually can be more tricky than it looks. Brain Freeze is this ice block with a brain inside sliding around. Simply lure him onto these buttons and shoot through the fire at him. Afterwards, just shoot the brain. Just a disclaimer, by the way. I know in this footage it looks really fucking easy, but remember that I've played through this game multiple times already. My first playthrough took me like 6.5 hours, while this one I did for recording just took me nearly 2 hours. But anyways. The last titan in this area is more interesting. Goliath is this golem-like creature trying to crush you with his fists. Sounds familiar? He looks exactly like the creature on the door protecting the eye, which is also shown in his title, Guardian of the First Gate. But something is off. He looks destroyed. A giant hole in his head and chest, vines all over him, and his look, this doesn't look like this proud protector drawn on the door. Not angry, not determined, just tired. Something definitely happened here. His name, Goliath, seems familiar. In my opinion, a pretty obvious nod to the story of David and Goliath from the Bible. No worries, I'll keep it short for the atheists watching. For those who don't know, shortly summarized, in the Bible, Goliath was an undefeated warrior, being feared for his might, but eventually got defeated by David, a pretty much child, weak and small, only carrying a slingshot and the might of God! A giant being defeated by a small human? But I don't think the game's story is about David or Goliath or the Bible generally. There are multiple references to the Bible in the game, but I personally think it is more to suggest characters and actions instead of being about them directly. But anyways, with these indicators, he seemingly lost a heavy fight in the past already. He's not only seriously injured, he's actually even split into parts. All three of the other titans here were actually originally part of him, with Sludgeheart's title being Heart of a Guardian, Brain Freezes being Brain of a Guardian, and Eye-Cubes being Eye of a Guardian. So in the past he seemingly was the only one protecting the first gate. He's the only one shown on the door after all. But how? Were we here once already in the past, or rather, did they fight someone else? After baiting out the hand protecting his core and shooting it, it is done. This big proud protector defeated in a single shot, making his body slide to the ground. Maybe now he can find peace, not needing to protect the gate anymore. But who knows what actually happens after defeating these titans, considering you seemingly absorb their soul. Maybe that is even worse. But after defeating these four, the door finally opens, where you can find a painting of what seems to be you, a human in the middle with your bow and arrow, again showing the connection from the opening animation. But also this ominous eye once again. Is he connected to you as well in some sense? Going further reveals another gate, with 8 lights this time, with 1 being lit. This again shows that the first 4 seemingly were once one. This is the part of a game where you get a lot more freedom. As you can see, you need to defeat 7 more to continue, but there are a few more than that, giving you more of a choice. But for completion, we will talk about them all, no worries, I'll try to keep it brief with the ones that aren't as important. These are split into multiple areas. Let's start with what I call... The Icy Mountains houses 3 titans, Yeti, Stratus and Onyxia. The Yeti, or Old Snow Beast, throws giant snowballs at you, knocking you back and trying to roll you over. He also makes stalactites fall down from the ceiling when hitting a wall. But his weak point is pretty obvious. The next one is Stratus, or Child of a Mountain and Sky. Being a giant head, he is generally pretty simple. He spawns a tower shooting a laser, leaving ice behind, which can get a little annoying. But using that against him will break his teeth. Afterwards he gets faster and more careful, but shooting into the gap will kill him. Last but not least, there's Onyxia, which is a serpent-like being. The fight can be pretty difficult, as he jumps at you, breaking the platforms you're standing on, and if you're in the water for too long, he kills you with lightning. You can move the islands around for a more tactical way, but generally you just need to hit this tiny part of his tail. Yes, it's annoying, but afterwards he's dead as usual. So the Icy Mountains don't really help in figuring out the lore, but there is one special thing. If you break the snow here and take the path here, you get to an open area with no titan or anything, just a cave with another painting. As you're used to it by now, it once again contains the eye, sitting on top of a mountain and structure with you at the bottom. It indicates that the eye seems to be your goal, whatever that means. And although you are on these giant mountains where there is snow everywhere, you're still not even close to the heights of the eye. The eye obviously seems to be really important, being mentioned so often, but as of now we can't really tell what it means. Just that it seems to be very powerful. And with that we are done with the Icy Mountains. The Lost Woods contain 2 titans and has a maze-like structure. You know, the very well-known concept from Zelda, it works the same here. If you take the wrong path, you end up at the beginning, but there are hints which paths to take. If you go to the left, you can see little mushrooms. Follow them and they will lead you to the first titan. Obello is a giant mushroom jumping around and shooting spores. If you get hit, you die, but if you just get hit by the spores coming from the little explosions, you take LSD for some reason. As far as I know, it doesn't do anything besides making it harder to aim or concentrate, I guess. Shooting is obvious, I defeats him. The other titan here you can find by either brute force or if you find a place in another area which tells you the way to go. Here you meet Vinephysis, which is a giant plant, I guess. I don't really know how to describe that. He spins around with his spiky vines and a poison cloud following you around. You can actually shoot off the vines to make it way easier, making it a more static obstacle. But you wouldn't do that, right? You're not a coward. When he stops spinning, creating a new poison cloud, you can shoot into his mouth, opening up a petal. You need to be pretty fast here, shooting at sight, otherwise he will just close it up again. This can be a little tricky with him spinning around and such, but generally is fine. In the Lost Woods you can actually find another painting. If you go up and just follow this river, you can find it, seemingly showing the creation of Vinephysis. It depicts a plant being hit with something. A meteor or something, with it resulting in it growing and turning into a titan we have met. But a meteor seems a bit random, considering everything in this game seems to be connected to the eye. I'm guessing either this is rather a part of the eye or has its energy or something. After all, Vine Feces seems to be powered by it, considering it's in its roots afterwards. And this kinda looks close to an eye, but I can't really tell. By the way, there's technically another titan here, but it is secret and only available in hard mode, with a way more complex way of reaching it. Yes, there is a hard mode, because obviously the game wasn't hard enough. In hard mode, Vine Feces has 8 instead of 4 vines, and the secret version has 12, but there's nothing more to it as far as I know. But now that we talked about the Icy Mountains and the Lost Woods, we can finally get to more interesting areas. Beginning with... In the Blazing Mountain, there are 3 more titans called Rolcaen, Molcaen and Golcaen. Just with the names you can already tell these are a bit more special. But first, who are they? Rolcaen is a ball with an eye trying to roll you over, and he is... just watch. Yeah, exactly. He's painfully easy, and the game knows that. There's literally an achievement of killing it in under 5 seconds. Pathetic. Next one is Molcaen, and my fucking god, I hate this fucking bitch. Remember how I said that it took me nearly 2 hours when I replayed it last? Yeah, about 20 minutes were spent with just her, and she's not even important. Not the last fight or anything, just this fucking lava slime. The problem is she shoots fireballs and a big bomb thingy. What you need to do is shoot your arrow into her mouth. This way you can pull her towards you. You need to pull her into her own bomb. But my god, it can be so frustrating. First off, she jumps around like she has ADHD or some shit. And secondary, she always looks at you and you can only pull her, not push her. This means that you'll stand near the bomb to pull her towards it. But she will shoot her spark shit, igniting the bomb. And then, when you finally manage it, you have like 3 or 4 seconds to pick up your arrow and shoot her. I know what you'll say. Just keep your arrow. She jumps away from you anyways. Just lead her towards the bomb that way. Yeah, I tried that, but her movement is often so inconsistent. I get that she doesn't seem to want to be too close to you. Normal behavior from women towards me, as well as not too close to the walls. She wants to stay in the middle. But every time I tried that, she just suddenly decides, fuck it, and tries to jump on top of me instead. I just dislike this boss immensely. I don't remember having spent more time on her in my first playthrough, so I guess it is more that it's harder to learn a perfect way to kill her. Whatever, fuck you, let's just finally get to Golcaen. Golcaen is this giant skull with spiky balls that moves and spins around. Watch the fire geysers and shoot into his back. This can be pretty difficult, but that's about it. So, 2 things that already stand out here. First, why are all 3 called nearly the same? Secondly, another goal? Where did we hear that once already? Exactly, at the beginning of the game with Goliath. So yes, Caen, as I will call him, is another guardian, and yes, again being broken down into multiple parts. With Mol being the molten creation of Golcaen, and Roll being the forged creation of Golcaen. But I know what you will say, a guardian? This fucking head? Goliath was old, sure. But at least he looked like a guardian, even if he was broken. I hear you. You can actually find a painting in another area, showing him as the guardian-like form we know. And you can find the rest of him here. His body just laying there, unused. But compared to Goliath, I don't think his body looks broken. Dirty, sure, but it looks pretty intact to me. So what happened here? There is a clue in Caen's title, it being Disgraced Guardian of the Second Gate. Disgraced? What? How? What the fuck did he do? You can find the answer to that in another area. The Graveyard. I know, Graveyard makes it pretty clear already. Here you can find another Titan, just being a mask and being one of the easiest fights in the game. His name being Golhevel, and his title being Murdered Guardian of the Second Gate. Yeah, that makes it pretty clear what happened. Another Guardian indicating that the Second Gate even had 2 Guardians. Again, you can find his guardian form on a pillar. But Caen killed Hevel, or at least heavily injured him, with Caen getting punished. In a painting in the Blazing Mountain, you can see Caen and what is seemingly needed for him to be able to live. I can't really make out what these 3 icons are supposed to be, but I think it's supposed to be the different parts of Kain: Mole, Roll, and himself. And again, our good friend VI. At this point, VI seems to be not only powerful itself, but seemingly able to power other beings as well. My guess is that after Kain fucked up, VI, maybe being some kind of god or king, decided to punish him pretty easily, by not helping him anymore, meaning he would just be simple parts, as well as maybe taking away his body. But why did Kain do this to begin with? What did Hevel do? Well, I couldn't find an exact answer to that, pretty much just like everything else in this game. But if you look at the names Cain and Hevel, you can get an idea. Cain and Hevel are actually romanizations of the names Cain and Abel. Again, a connection to a Bible story. Again, I'm keeping it brief. Cain and Abel were the sons of Adam and Eve. Both made sacrifices to God, but God liked Abel's more, making Cain jealous of his brother. This resulted in Cain killing his brother, making him disgraced and forced to wander away. If you ever played The Binding of Isaac, you know of Cain as the dude with the eye patch. My guess is that with Cain and Hevel, it could be the same or at least connected. Maybe their master, probably the eye, liked Hevel more, which made Cain jealous or something, which is why they fought. Shout out to mom and dad. But we can only guess. In the last area, there are two more titans, Everise and Knight Elhanan. Everise is a little hidden. You need to go into this room and shoot this thing here, opening up a ladder where you can fight him. He's a giant mimic, throwing coins, teleporting and trying to eat you. When he prepares his charge shot, you can shoot into his mouth. Simple. The other titan is different. When you enter the room, you can see a knight, but you can't reach him. But can see a giant arrow, and if you shoot it... Two special things here. First off, shooting the arrow throws you to the ground and turns him into a red skeleton. And the other thing is this. I didn't edit this. For every titan you can't read their names because it's in an unknown language. But here you actually can, with Knight Elhanan's title being Legendary Titan Slayer. Maybe that's why you know the name, because you have heard of him before. But that begs the question, if he is a legendary Titan Slayer, then why is he here? Why is he a titan himself? What happened? Did he just kill his brothers? Or did he somehow turn into a titan? Knight Elhanan fights in a very similar way to yourself, with a bow and arrow. Sure, he shoots a bouncy arrow as well and has 3 instead of 1, but after shooting these 3, he also picks them up again, just like you would. But his introduction also hinted at the way to defeat him. When you shoot his giant bouncy arrow, you still get stunned for a little bit, but you get enough time to pick up your arrow again and shoot him. Knight Elhanan is really interesting in my opinion. I mean, he doesn't even seem alive. Sure, he resembles a human just like yourself, also seen with a connection of the arrow, but he's way too big and doesn't even seem conscious, being just a red skeleton with armor. When you look up the name Elhanan, you can again find a connection to the Bible, but a very interesting one at that. Elhanan is the name of David's partner, or even for David himself in some cases and translations. Why is this interesting? Remember Goliath? In the Goliath story, it was David who defeated him, so we can assume that Goliath is this badly destroyed because of Elhanan. So no, I'm not guessing he just randomly killed his brothers. Guardians fighting, sure, but a simple titan destroying a guardian and seemingly not being punished? I don't believe that. I think Knight Elhanan was someone just like you, a puny human with a bow and arrow, fighting his way through this world. So you weren't the first one, which would make sense. I didn't mention it, but this world seems old. A lot of worn down or even destroyed structures are scattered around. So what exactly is this world? Editing Kakoris here. I wanted to add something I only just realized, but I really want to mention, so sorry if I sound a bit different. A song I used before in this video is this one. Which is called Elhanan's Melody, and plays in a few outside areas including the Sanctuary. And this is Knight Elhanan's boss theme. They are of course connected, considering they both mention him, but there's also something else I have realized. They partially use the same melody. Listen to these specific parts. If you speed up Elhanan's melody to about 175%, you can hear it more clearly. And man, I just love these kinds of things. I think lore-wise it is also kind of tragic. Considering the song is called Elhanan's Melody, it could be a song played by bards, considering he's legendary. It also has this melancholic undertone, which fits going through broken places, like tragedy struck in the past. Only to then play the song Legendary Titan Slayer, a way more tension-building version of his melody, as you yourself now have to fight this legend. Kind of like his melody already started building tension for that fight, but without you knowing it, as stupid as that may sound. But now, back to the video. Why are we and seemingly people before us here? And what happened to Knight Elhanan, when he allegedly was so strong that he is known as a legendary Titan Slayer? Maybe we will find the answer as we continue. We actually are now through the areas of a second gate, but there's something else. In the graveyard there's actually a second Titan besides Hevel. If you go up here, you can see a little dirt patch. Running into it reveals a secret cave. Walking around you can see what looks to me like places where old respawn points once were, and another painting, resembling a Titan strongly connected to the eye. I know, in other paintings it also shows that the eye helps the Titans, but here it's gigantic. This is next level, what makes it seem like this Titan is way more special. Leaving the cave and climbing up, suddenly someone starts talking to you. Mind you, no one ever talks to you in this game. This is a big reason why the lore is pretty difficult to figure out, especially on the first playthrough. So while you climb higher and higher, you realize who is talking. This gigantic being, a Titan. I know the Titans generally are way bigger than you, but this is Shadow of a Colossus level. This is the Elder, his title being the First Soul. He's crucial to the lore and this world. As you climb him, he continues. Another broken soul seeking truth. Less encumbered than the last. You have paid a high toll indeed. For the abomination in your quiver. And for what? Knowledge? Power? I hope it was worth it. Do what you must. Afterwards, an eye opens up on his head. Shooting it will kill him. Wait, what? This massive monster won't even fight back? What? But he definitely knows a lot, at least more than we, the players, do. He said we paid a high toll for the abomination that is our arrow. But we neither know where we got the weapon from, nor how the fuck we even got here in the first place. He asked for what we are even on this journey for, and I'm sitting there like, yes, I want to know too. But at this point we can't tell. Seemingly only that we seek truth. The Elder gets even more important later, but we will get there when we get there, right? And with that, we finish the second gate, finally being able to go through. There we move along, again seeing worn down structures and even a gate being broken. You enter an elevator and go up multiple sets of stairs, getting higher and higher. There's also a painting here, but it doesn't say anything in my opinion, just shows that you seem to be special. Going outside you find yourself on a giant tower, with it now raining heavily. Seems like we are pretty close to the eye, if you can trust the painting from before. You step on another summoning circle and meet the final guardian. Goal set. Guardian of the Eternal Gate. It's immediately obvious that he is different from the other Titans. The thing is, every Titan in the game has to be activated by shooting it. Kinda like you challenge them to a fight, but that is not the case here. Stepping closer, Goldset instantly attacks. It's not about him being idle and you challenging him, he knows why you're here and knows what to do. Looking at Goldset, his design is very similar to Goliath. Big Golem being, two big fists, but he seems like an upgraded version of Goliath and not broken of course. He not only tries to crush you, but also tries to kill you with lasers coming out of his eyes. You need to bait his fists onto these two buttons, making him open up his core to shoot a giant laser. Shooting into it of course defeats him, but it also kind of made me wonder, why are these buttons even here? Sure, he shoots a laser out of his core then, but only kind of when you want him to. My personal theory is that the Titans should be a hard challenge, sure, but I don't think they should be impossible. It's like this world gives you all the tools you need. You just need to have the will for it, or you could say determination! But I mean, why else, for example, place a button which opens up a fire in a room with a titan made of ice. Someone definitely wants us to succeed, or at least give us a chance. Maybe it was in the deal we made, which also gave us the bow and arrow? We simply don't know. Going up even further, you now are at the top of the tower, with this crystal being there, surrounded by what seems to be more souls. Is this thing what you were after all this time? Shooting it gives you the feeling like winning a fight. Was this it? But something is off. While the animation plays, the music starts sounding weird, and afterwards... you get thrown out, like you got rejected. The soul's now forming a body like yourself. You didn't think a fucking guardian would be the final boss, right? Starting the fight, it already shows a difference once again. Normally you would shoot it, awakening it, but not doing any damage. But he dodges away. He's not asleep, but also not aggressive like Gold said. He was just ready for you to attack. Kinda like he knew that you would do that. Dodging away. And a Sans reference here. His name is simply the Soul. Image of the Titan souls. The fight is seemingly a fight against yourself, but stronger. Not only does he look like you, he also dodges like you and shoots like you, picking it up afterwards. But you aren't only connected in a sense of how you fight and look, but also generally. When you pull your arrow towards yourself and his arrow is on the floor, you also pull his arrow to yourself. The same as with him. The difference is that if his arrow touches you, you die. But if he picks up your arrow, he uses it in a special way, kind of like the bouncy arrow from Knight Elhanan. Your arrows even clash if they hit each other. So yes, even his arrow is as strong as your so-called abomination. The soul is obviously a very different being from the other titans, and as far as I know, there's no clear answer in the game what he really is. But looking at his title, Image of the Titan Souls, I have a theory. My guess is that this crystal really was filled with even more Titan souls than the player already has, or a different kind of power. We don't know what happens when the souls get absorbed, but my guess is that they can't do anything until you try to get these souls. My theory is that at this point the souls get enough power to fight back, forming a new body to finally stop you. And why not use the body of the strongest being they know? The one that defeated them all. I also personally think that this is what happened to Knight Elhanan. I think lore-wise, if you would stop here and give up, you would turn into a Titan yourself. After all, the Elder talked about paying a high toll. Maybe this toll was that either you succeed in your quest or you turn into a Titan yourself. So this is what I personally think the soul is. A last chance for the Titans to stop you, and it fits, because this fight is the hardest one in the entire game by far. Sure, I said this game is hard, but only this boss was able to make me rage quit back then. So I hear you. How do you kill him? Well, you need to hit him. No, not this, but this. Which only shows when he dodges. You need to hit his body while it's outside. Seems impossible, right? Yeah, I know. The 3 times I have beat this game, it was only because of luck of him randomly dodging for no reason while I was already aiming or even jumping into my arrow. When you finally hit him, the soul just looks disappointed, with the body just laying there. For a few seconds he just stands there, before returning to you. To me it feels like this was their last chance, their last ditch effort, and it still wasn't enough. That's why I think they just looked disappointed, like even that wasn't enough, making them completely accept defeat. You absorb these massive amounts of souls and might, with even lightning filling you. And that's it. You reached the end of the game, with the credits rolling. So, thanks for watching. Don't look at the video length, just don't look. Obviously this isn't the end. If there wasn't more, I probably wouldn't have bothered with making a video. After the credits it just shows you floating, with your stats being shown before panning to this ominous door. It has the well-known eye at the top of it, so obviously it's important. Then you just get thrown into the game again. No explanation or anything. but to me, back then, it was pretty clear what to do. You remember how I mentioned that it isn't necessary to defeat every Titan to reach this point? Yeah, so for this door to open, you actually need to. We already did that, but I want to talk about something else first. I mentioned the Elder being even more important later on, and this is one point. As I said, you don't need to defeat every Titan to fight against the Soul. So if you don't kill the Elder beforehand and do it after defeating the Soul, he actually has different dialogue. Here's what he says. You found what you sought. You killed the second god, the one who took my place, and created the 4 guardians. The rest of the Titans here grew from lost souls. Some were like you, human. They lacked your conviction for killing. He calls the Soul the second god, and seemingly the Elder was the final boss before the Soul replaced him. The Soul created the 4 guardians, but not the other Titans. Growing from lost souls? Sounds like what I thought it would be. People getting to this world but being defeated, making them Titans themselves. This also is underlined with him ending it with, they lacked your conviction for killing. They seemingly weren't willing enough or gave up. But in my opinion, it also makes us sound like a monster with no feelings or regret. That we were only able to reach this point because of our conviction for killing sounds really fucked up. Like we would kill anyone if they are in our way. But now, I blue-balled enough, the only thing left is the giant door. After you defeat every Titan in the game, you go back to the door, which is now open. You enter this bright white light, and we finally find out what the eye meant this whole time. Truth. The game places you in a weird area of black and white, with yourself also just being a silhouette. You are definitely not in the place you were in before. Truth charges up before trying to roll you over, but you know how to identify weaknesses of enemies at this point, so you shoot into his eye, the very thing you started your whole journey with. You find yourself in an endless void with these things trying to kill you. But between all of these mouths and eyes, you see one that is different. Shooting it makes it fall to the ground, before growing spider-like legs. It now tries to shoot you with a laser, with the mouth creatures attacking as well as standing in the way of your arrow. This can get pretty difficult, which might lead to your death, but something is different. You don't respawn on the summoning circle as usual, you instantly respawn in the fight again. Kind of like Truth won't let you go. Either you defeat it or you quit altogether. So you fight your way back to where you were before, shooting into the eye of a spider-like creature. Truth just looks at you, with a language you can't possibly understand surrounding you. Instead of the usual souls, you get filled with letters of this language instead, with Truth just watching until... it's just you, getting closer. At this point, to be honest, I kinda got scared. But this character you've been playing as this whole game, and after everything he's done, he turned into such a monster. It looks scary somehow, although it's just his silhouette, but my fear got confirmed, because afterwards it reveals the same eye from Truth on your body. Before the game ends. I'm not kidding this time, this really is the end of the game, as you get sent back to the title screen. Your save now has the Eye of Truth marked on it. Opening it up, you are at the start of the game again. You can now fight every Titan again if you want, but the game really is finished. One major difference is, now that you defeated Truth, you can actually read the names of every Titan. No more unknown language. You also unlock the ability to just start a new file, with Truth activated. What the fuck is going on here? We can get some answers from our good old friend the Elder, because he now has new dialogue again. But he's the only one who isn't revived after defeating Truth. So we need to start a new save with Truth activated. You fight through the first gate again, and walk towards him. And what he says is very interesting. He talks about how he was the first creation from truth, and he, the Elder, seemingly created the humans. I think that the Elder is kind of like the story of Prometheus. Prometheus in Greek mythology was a titan who created the humans, but he cared too much about his creation. He stole the fire from Zeus to give it to humanity, but therefore got severely punished for it, with the humans being Prometheus' downfall. Here it's the same. The Elder created the humans who are now his downfall. Maybe he lost his place to the second god as a punishment from truth for creating the humans, or even letting them into this world. And now that we defeated truth and are about to defeat the Elder once again, it becomes a full circle, with us also one day being defeated by our own creation. I personally think that now that we defeated truth, we take its place, or at least the place of a soul, also known as the second god. Maybe this is what our goal was all this time, turning into a god. And maybe this is why all the titans are alive now again, to prepare for the next to come, to one day defeat you. There is actually one more thing you can find out about this world. Remember the giant eye at the True fight? Of course you do. How the fuck could you forget something like that? You can actually decipher the things said in his eye and when you get filled with them. In his eye it says, life from chaos, truth from life, all from truth. And the words you get filled with say, I am you, and you are I. If either lives, neither will die. So you did defeat Truth, but he isn't dead. That is probably also why your character now had the same eye as Truth on its body. You didn't take its place. He now is a part of you, which explains why you can read the unknown language now. Maybe this is also why the Elder is the only titan who doesn't get revived after defeating Truth, either as punishment from Truth once again, or maybe you yourself didn't want to. I think it isn't too far-fetched to assume that now that you've turned into such a monster, you wouldn't bother with a titan that just sits around and doesn't even fight back. But that is just speculation. So, is that it? I'm sorry to disappoint, but seemingly yes. You don't know who you are, how you got here, or exactly why. Only wanting truth and power. But that can't just be it. But there is a kind of beauty in not knowing everything, right? If the game would just tell every detail of why everything is happening, that would be boring, and I most likely wouldn't have talked about it. Mind you, I analyzed the details of this game years ago, simply because I myself wanted to understand and know. At that point, I myself didn't know how much there was to find. So, if I haven't had this need to know, we probably never would have reached the point of this video. Kind of ironic, huh? The irony behind the whole game seems to be, it doesn't matter if you win or lose. Either you will turn into a titan, or you become a god of this world. In any case, apparently, once you enter this world, you will never leave again. So, for the people who actually watched until this point, thank you so much for watching. If just one person enjoyed it enough to watch through it, I'm happy I did it. If it piqued your interest, feel free to try the game out. There is a hard mode I haven't talked about properly, making every boss harder, so there still is some new gameplay even after watching. You can get the game pretty often for like under $2, so that is a good reason to maybe just try it. There is a somewhat sequel to Titan Souls called Death's Door, but I haven't looked into it or played that game yet, so I'll maybe talk about it in the future. I have already talked too much now, so I will shut up now. Peace.